Welcome again to Sage, Synergetic Age, A New World Eligion, Episode 122, SEEEC 47, February 7, 2022. No Tyrants Allowed. Reference for this episode today is provided with links shown on my transcript at sagesynergeticage.com. Remember to read the entire transcript for your research in this education experiment. Synergetics, Eligion, Experiential, Experimental, Education Complex, SEEEC. Consciously knowledgeable, intuition experimentally controls its own thought-language coordination of experientially anticipatory interactions. Anticipatory design science expectations are metaphysical intellect's speculations with the geometric models, generalized conceptioning, operational field complex in mind. Momentarily, the human events are theoretical. We can devise a superficial checklist as the comprehensive thought takes shape, correlating to the irreversible EISEDP, which are among human events, experiences, intuitions, speculations, experiments, discoveries, productions. The EISEDP process is non-identically repetitive and irreversible, as experience alters previous experience, but not in any correlation to backwardly directed time. Synergetics 502.20 through 502.25. How otherwise can consciousness evolution's awareness of human events conceive the correlation to cycles, angles, frequencies, where a true democracy concerns differentiating and integrating systemic thoughts, equi-economical, cosmic forces? The isotropic vector matrix is the experimental self-other discovery, as productions are in full swing to eventuate, resolutions to inherent nuclei, an eventual no gain or loss. The equanimity model is involved in the conceptioning field. We have already learned that the equanimity model is the vector equilibrium, that in universe shares the same metaphysical and physical design. Synergetics 987.031. This is, as memory serves, to remind metaphysical intellect of its previously referential inquiry and activation of potential clarification that may be earnestly trying to put into a substantiating order, correlating facts of anticipatory reality based on the most reliable thought and language. Without thought and language, humans cannot consciously differentiate, coordinate the integrations, and mindfully communicate this knowledge of its cosmic conceptioning. Metaphysical conceptioning requires a generalized matrix field, a cosmic hierarchy, which is the isotropic vector matrix. Why would metaphysical intellect's generalized conceptioning fields of thought consider such potential, if not to manifest an omnirational reality basis wherewith the individual's independence also coincides with the conceptuality that is independent of the system's size? What is the anticipatory size of a true democracy? If it is environmentally quantum compatible, which in generalized principle is zero size before atoms come into the mensuration field, all of which seems too esoteric for the average ordinary individual non-mathematical education. Such education is where science is not consciously accredited as a natural curiosity. Instead, mathematics and science are expected to derive from specialists, experts, as if nature has as many departments as the human imagination can contrive. The articulations, nevertheless, are reenacted each time, hoping to reduce the tolerance magnitudes of the residual inaccuracies of observation and articulation. Where, if it is not metaphysical intellect as a function of universe, subsequent to observations of the generalized content of disseminated information. Where does the disseminated information originate, if it is not the energetic environment's constant relative abundance, to which anyone can refer the topology and geometry of the minimum thinkable set? Since it happens to be a conceptuality of one quantum of energy, which identifies a tetrahedron's 6 equi-economical cosmic forces in generalized principle of universe, eternal, omniscient mind, where otherwise is the eternally conserved energy that is never lost nor ever created by humans when it is brought to mind. It has to be conceptual. We can easily recall, in quotes, conceptual equal imaginable, end quote, Synergetics 1071.25, and that the minimum thinkable set is the tetrahedron, which, when you bring the tyrant's powerful ambitions into the anticipatory field despite also wanting to be independently free from its rule, the inherited detriments are carried over, like nines are in columns from right to left and not the other way around. Adding is different from multiplication only by division, as the most economical way of behaving is relative to unity and self in universe that coincides with the matrix field's most comfortable, structural interrelationships corresponding to the octahedron-tetrahedron complex. This happens to be the isotropic vector matrix. The inherited detriments and the inherited hierarchies describe the PRJWBCS, politics, religion, justice, war, belief complex schemes, within that contextual parameter, amongst which may well be the personality disorders to the aberrant extremes. When amplified to the most diabolical manipulation of human nature, it results in devastating proofs that manifest worst-case scenarios. It is where the tyrant has to be in control of others but shuns education prerogatives that render its power to control inoperable, restricting or eliminating the ability to manipulate any number of humans, which means controlling their freedom and independence for many undetectable intentions. Once metaphysical intellect learns of the minimum structural system of universe as a conceptuality of the minimum thinkable set, which is also universe's basic unit of measure, coinciding with zero pulsation in the vector equilibrium, as the nearest approach humans will ever know to eternity, and God, which is now alluded to as Yom, universe, eternal, omniscient mind. Then there is every logical reason to learn what can be devised as individual evidence prove subsequent to closest packing for uniradius spheres, the centers of which are joined by most economical lines, the geodesic vectorial lines. Those lines, as vectors, whose mass times its velocity equals 0, then the closest packed sphere centers evidence the isotropic energy conditions, that can be conceptualized by anyone. Actually, it is self-assuring to know of the isotropic vector matrix with a conceptual model of the array of equilateral triangles that clearly describes the tetrahedron from 4 closest packed equi-radius spheres. It is a new start that was not possible before intellect became cognizant of the equi-radius spheres. Independent thoughts, freedoms derived from a referential basis that cannot in generalized principle contradict the conceptuality. By nature, our evolving potential is integrally of generalized eternal regenerative principles. How otherwise could the human be identified as an evolution species whose mind's metaphysical conceptioning permits this phenomenon? Our physical being, its entire anatomical biology and chemistry, comparatively, evolved over millions of years. To arrive where we are today. But apparently the mind's consciousness evolves in a correlation to no time at all. This may turn out to be of such profound relevance to our forward in time modifications of angles and frequencies, where metaphysical intellect's consciousness is aware of both the metaphysical and the physical. This metaphysical mind thereat associates the conceptioning and the anticipatory generalized laws governing what heretofore was not cogently realized. In this case, systemic awareness can be associated with a true democracy, where allowing tyrants into the governing system would defeat the evolution process and omni-rational purpose in our humanity's coexistence. Thank you.